Hi, everyone. So let's reintroduce the panel a little bit. I don't think he really needs an introduction, but here's Tim Ellis, CMO of the NFL. Little Shane, I'm going to read your bio though here. Little Shane, you're National Little of the Year and Youth Leadership Council member. And of course, Artis Stevens, President and CEO of Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America. So let's get this going. Tim, I'm going to start with you. Sports has clearly played a vital role in breaking down barriers and providing access. What really is the NFL's approach to this?
We see our, let me start from a marketing program, but then I'll talk a little bit more about our entire program at the NFL. From a marketing perspective, we know that sports, and particularly the NFL, considering the size and the scale and the influence of the NFL, we know that we are a grand unifier in the country, and we take that very seriously. And so we kind of look at all of our communications. We're either trying to elevate the joy of the game, focus on the joy of the game, or we're going to transcend the game, and be a force for good through our platform and through our resources. We commit on an annual basis $500 million a year on causes, okay? And then and then there's a variety of course of causes. We have dozens of partners like Big Brothers Big Sisters here. So for social justice, which is part of our Inspire Change program, and we'll talk a little bit more about that this morning, we commit a good $375 million over a 7-year period. So it's a tremendous amount of sort of focus and resources that the NFL has. But of course, it's not just about donations. It's not just about providing those monetary resources. It's also about working together with our platform, using our voice. We have a tremendous opportunity just through our inventory on our games. Like I'm lucky because I get a lot of the media. I don't have to argue about media buys every year because I get media inventory given to me through the broadcast rights agreements at the NFL. So we spend a fair amount of our inventory on what we call basically the cause platform every single game, right? There's 2 or 3 spots that we have in there, so it's important to us. We believe that it's important for us to identify the most sort of needed resources and the areas of our country that really require extra support, extra help. So I wanted to actually, if it's okay, I wanted to start out and show a spot that we do. This is one of my favorite programs. It's called My Cause, My Cleats. And a big part of our efforts at the NFL is essentially getting behind the athletes, right? Getting behind the players and what they care about. I think one of the things that I brought to the NFL when I came is that we have to have a helmets off strategy anytime we're not showing some kind of reel of players actually in a game. We got to get their helmets off. We have to find out who are these people. What do they care about? What do they burn for? And that could be anything from a video game to fashion to these important issues, societal issues. And I think this campaign here, we have over 1,000 of our players, right, who have chosen a cause of their choice. I think we have anywhere from 10 to 15 of those guys who have chosen Big Brothers Big Sisters. But it's their choice of what they want to support. We then help them amplify that and give a voice to that. And so it's a very important partnership. And as you'll see in this spot, it feels very authentic. It feels very intimate. And it's clear that these are things that these guys have a very personal attachment to. So we roll the film here. Oh, well.
Give it a minute. He's trying. He looks like he's about to click on something. I know it has been working, yeah.
That always happens, right?
It's me. It's me.
As we're waiting for this, I'll just keep talking until it starts, so you start to hear the audio. I think, we're in talking about sports and the power of sports. Certainly, I think what I have learned is that you really need to get you have to earn the trust and the partnership with the players. The players are more than happy, more than willing to work with you because they want to get back, right? They and the clubs, the 32 teams for the NFL, they want to get back. But you really have to meet with them and understand them and create that level of trust. And when you do that, I think the audience feels that as well, right? So I think we use that word a lot.
What a catch by Deebo Samuel.
These players are incredible on the field, but what's most impressive is what they do off it. Deebo is someone that a lot of kids in SPAT look up to. SPAT has prepared me for after high school by giving me many different opportunities to explore different career paths.
It's good to have a good support system after high school. SPAT helps kids prepare for that, and that's why I'm proud to be a part of it.
Tucker Craft's involvement within the community has inspired me to do more for our Lakota community.
Where I come from has made me into the player that I am. Cheyenne River Youth Project, they have a way to help people out. I hope these kids see that everything is achievable, whether you're from a reservation or not.
Christian Gonzalez is truly incredible. The most impressive thing about him is his work with mental health.
We want to let people know it's okay to speak up, to be able to talk about mental health and be the one people want to come talk to. I love it for sure. So being able to partner with Kyle Cares, it means a lot. We're more than NFL players, we're people too.
As players, we have an opportunity
to leave an impact off the field.
And in the end, be part of something bigger than just the game.
This is my cause, and these are my cleats.
Artis, you're next. Do you want to talk a little bit more about the partnership? I know you have a few slides.
Hold on. Can y'all? Okay, I was about to say, I have to use my outside voice here. All right, so I'm, the way I also go into this, and for those of you here, who were here earlier this morning, I talked a little bit about Big Brothers Big Sisters and our partnership journey with Macy's. This one is really intriguing for me personally because this was one that wasn't about, hey, we're going to start somewhere and build. It was already ongoing. It was already organic, right? So it was a little different, and it was really unique in that way, and even how Tim and I ended up meeting, because when you think about our relationship, Big Brothers Big Sisters has already been, for years, integrated into the NFL community, the NFL DNA. As Tim just mentioned, we were partners, have been one of the initial partners of the social justice initiative, Inspire Change, where the NFL is investing millions of dollars in Big Brothers Big Sisters over years to create more access for mentorship, to support kids, particularly a lot of kids whose families and parents are incarcerated or in the parole system. So helping to go where young people need us most. So the strategy was already there. But I'll tell you what was really interesting to me was this sense of authenticity. So we've said that word throughout the day. Take this into account. The commissioner of the NFL is a big in our program and serves on a local Big Brothers Big Sisters board here in New York City. That pretty much all 32 teams have some connection with their local Big Brothers Big Sisters in their community already. Take into account also that many of the players that you see were alums in our programs. So they were actually bigs or littles in our programs as well. Take the chief marketing officer of the NFL, who serves on our national board as well. And we met at a conference. Was it, 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years at a conference.
Yeah, 2 years ago at a conference. And then we didn't know each other, and we didn't have and he was doing a presentation. I had a keynote, I think, right after him or something. And then we ended up meeting each other and said, hey, it was like that little Spider-Man cartoon you see, like each Spider-Man's pointing at each other. And we were sort of like talking to each other, and we started saying, man, we're doing a lot of stuff already. Why don't we make this thing like official, right? Like, why don't we do even more and make it official? So it was already all of this organic nature of what was going on in relationships. So the part of the relationship was about how do we build and how do we take what's organic and make it even more scalable in terms of the work that we're doing across the country together. And that's really what we've been building. And sort of that authenticity sort of moved us to this idea of experience, right? And this sense of experience was, how do we create the greatest level? And Tim talked about sort of the helmets off strategy. And this was what was so beautiful about this relationship is that, we said, we can help to personalize that even more, the helmets off strategy with players, because part of the players' helmet off strategy was their commitment to the community. And we said, okay, what part can Big Brothers Big Sisters play in that can both benefit the mission on the ground, but also benefit what the NFL wants to accomplish as well. So we started doing these incredible things with players that really show players not just, hey, here's the NFL player, but here's the person, right? Here's who I am. And one of the best examples that I can point to was an initiative we did with a guy known as the shoe surgeon. and we did this really cool experience. And Tim, you should talk a little bit about how that came together, because it involved players, young people, what we did in terms of creating media and activation around it as well. It was a real testament of how we create experience together.
Yeah, I think we all, you're all marketers here. You know that you have to find ways to really connect with young people on their level, right? So fashion, sneakers and all that is obviously very interesting to people like Shane and also to people like me and Artis. But, we knew that by working with the shoe surgeon, if you don't know, is he's a great guy, Dominic Chabroni. An amazing guy. He's been working with a lot of different. He does a lot of collaborations with like big, exciting brands. And like if you saw the most recent big boxing match, it was on Netflix. That entire outfit there was from Dominic. He was responsible for the whole thing. Oh, you do? Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. Here you go. So we figured like, okay, well let's he's another guy, right? An incredible human being, wanted to give back. So let's put together a program where we can go around the country. So the NFL, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and the shoe surgeon, and let's invite littles and bigs to these, gatherings around the country, and let's have the kids create shoes or create a helmets or design something right around football. And so we do that. We invite the bigs and littles to do that around the country, and then of course we use all of the things that we do around social media and influencers to create and amplify that and make it a bigger operation. But like it's just a way for us to connect and like through youth culture, right? And through connecting where kids are and what they care about. And by the way, it's also, we talk a lot about kids, a lot of our players are pretty young too, right? These guys are, they're in their 20s, so for the most part. And so it's also a way for them, again, the passion points to connect the athletes, the artist, and the kids for the greater good.
Yeah, and the power of that was, okay, so we have the authenticity. We use that authenticity to create experience, right? Experience for whether it's fans, whether it's players, whether it's community. But experience was at sort of the defining point of how we want to create a thread throughout our relationship. And then we said the experience should also create access, right? Because the ultimate goal was access. It was, how do we use this in a very pro-social way to ensure that more young people, more communities who needed us most and needed the force for good that we both created together to create more access for opportunities, for mentorship, for the power of relationships, so that it helps them to thrive in their lives. So we've done things that have given kids opportunities from everything from career experiences and really focusing on some of the core areas of Big Brothers, Big Sisters, where we're trying to ensure that every young person's on track to graduate with a plan for their future and a mentor whose impact lasts a lifetime. The NFL has been a model for that, of being able not just to show us the role of, hey, be an NFL player, but to show young people, okay, what's behind the NFL brand? so that we see all aspects of it and young people see all aspects of it, but to also show players, right? And that's one of the things I've loved most about this relationship. It hasn't been about, hey kid, hey little, hey young person, you can become a football player. It's good if you want to do that, that's great. But it's about all these players, they also are business people. They also have brands. They're also a philanthropist. There's so many different aspects of who they are. So it was how do we plug and make connections in authentic ways that create experience, that create that level of access and opportunity. And I'll tell you one of the most important ways we've done that is by ensuring that the NFL is a platform, which they always have been, to give young people voice and empowerment. And in no better way have they done that than my man sitting right here, Shane. And I'm gonna turn it over to Shane, because Shane's really the star of the show, y'all. Me and Tim's up here, but Shane's the star of the show. So Shane is our national Little of the Year, right? And just so you understand what that means, thousands of young people across our country, right, vie in a very friendly, competitive way for leadership to be known as our nationally recognized Little of the Year, right? So it is a very competitive process, and it goes from one place to the next till we ultimately recognize a young person who's of outstanding character, leadership, voice, and empowerment. And they don't always start off in the track that just says, hey, you're gonna get there, right? It takes a level of resilience and resolve to do it. Everything that we talk about and we see on the field, everything we talk about in terms of character, that's what Shane represents. So I'm excited to have him here, and he's gonna talk a little bit about his journey, but also how this relationship has also been a platform for his voice as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Shane. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for having me here. So like you said, I'm a little brother, National Little of the Year. And I'll just tell you a little bit about my story and my journey to getting to literally sitting here in front of you guys today. So it's a little sad. When I was 9, my dad passed away from brain cancer. And that was really hard for me. And my mom, she's awesome. She's right there. She's hiding. You guys can still.
Not hiding, sitting proudly.
She's awesome. And she saw that I was struggling, and she wanted to help me. So she starts doing research, trying to find any way possible. And she knew I needed a male role model, and she knew I needed mentorship. And she found Big Brothers Big Sisters. And I got matched with my big Chris. He's not here today. He's awesome too. And it's just been amazing from there. We've gotten to have so much fun together, make amazing memories. We've done everything together, whether it's getting food, going to a football game. I win in everything we do if we compete, which is always awesome. But yeah, it's been amazing. And then one of the biggest things we've done that has really stood out to me was these two helped me to get on the big stage for the NFL draft, and they got me the chance to make the 8th pick in the 2023 NFL draft last year. So yeah, that was really exciting. Yeah.
And he did a great job.
Bijan Robinson. So if any of you, yeah. Yeah.
And I think we have a little video of that, right?
I think so. If any of you have him in fantasy, you can thank me after this.
Are we going to show video? Do we have it?
Yeah, I think we can do it.
It's been several years now since we've been matched, and just watching that development over the years, the things that he's been able to do just based on exposure through Big Brothers Big Sisters, I'm proud of the journey that he's gone on, because I remember that kid that was at our original match, and now he's a young man that's developed into someone that is now representing an entire organization on a platform like that. I'm proud.
For the Atlanta Falcons pick, I'm joined by Chris and Shane from Big Brothers Big Sisters of Kansas City. Chris and Shane are a true testament to the power of mentorship. The NFL and its teams work closely with Big Brothers Big Sisters of America as part of our work on social justice through our initiative, Inspire Change. The Falcons are big-time supporters of the organization, and they're thrilled to have Chris and Shane making their pick. Okay, guys, take it away.
With the 8th pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Bijan Robinson, running back, Texans.
So that was a pretty huge moment.
Oh yeah, that was huge. Leading up to it, I had to go to school a little bit that day, and all my friends were coming up to me, and they were like, you can't mess this up. If you do, you're gonna have to move states. You're gonna have to change names, change schools. So I was really nervous there. You could
But
see
did
me
they receive you back at school as a hero afterwards?
Oh yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome, and it's thanks to these two. So yeah.
So Shade, I have a question for you. Obviously, this partnership really has caused change in your life overall. Do you see it making tangible differences for other people, other younger?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think the biggest difference that I've seen personally is involvement, and that's because you hear about Big Brothers Big Sisters on the NFL draft. You see them in commercials through partnerships. One of my friends, his mom just came up to me one day and she was like, "You were on a Spotify ad," and I was like, "Okay." But it's those things, and then those get involvement because people are like, I never knew about this before. How can I help? And that gets big brothers, that gets big sisters, that gets people who want to donate, that gets board members. So it's really just the involvement, and then that all goes to helping the kids like me.
Amazing. So Artis, I want to go back to you because we've talked a lot about the Force for Good, which is absolutely fantastic. But overall, you are a brand, right? Yeah. And your brand has over 90% awareness and trust, and really has to do with the work that you do. But how do partnerships like the one that you have with the NFL allow you to sustain and grow that brand trust, but also allow you to maybe expand that national footprint?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And one of the ways that I can put it in context for everyone in the room, and particularly as you are thinking about, you steward your brands, who you partner with, and stakeholders, part of this is so much about, like, how do we solve challenges, right? How do we solve and create solutions across our businesses, across society, to create social impact? And what I've found in working, and that's been part of my role over, 30 years now, of building these types of partnerships with some of the most dynamic brands in the world, is finding these sort of shared solutions to address big problems and big issues. And I'll just give you an example of one to that that's really helping us to widen our footprint and our level of relevancy. I think I had mentioned earlier, for those of you who are in the room, that when we went into a relationship with the NFL more formally, we had about 30,000 kids on our waiting list, right? 30,000 kids. Most of those kids are boys, right, who are looking for male mentors. And when we went to the NFL, one of the questions that were on the table, because they said, well, we love what we're doing. How else can we help? How can we create something that's going to be a big win and a big opportunity for what you're trying to do in society? And then we said, okay, well, let us tell you where our biggest challenge is. And at the same time, our question was, well, how can we continue to help advance what the NFL is doing in your nature of pro-social and creating impact and doing what Tim just mentioned? And it was about, well, how do we engage our fans much more successfully, right? Much more thoughtfully, much more with authenticity, et cetera. So we came up with this concept, and it was aligned to what you just saw, which was called the Big Draft Campaign. And the Big Draft Campaign is a very simple concept. While the NFL is drafting their next round of players, they're going to help Big Brothers draft the next round of mentors, right? And it was the coolest concept, and it's been running for several years now. But here's the difference, and here's the impact of what that's made. We are now on about, and Adam, make sure I'm doing my math right. How many volunteers have we been able to acquire because of this campaign? 14,000 signups just this past year. And it's because of the lift that the NFL has given us. And when we talk about this campaign, this is players, current players, these are former players, these are prospective players, all coming together that gives us their voice, that tells stories, that talks about their mentorship stories. We build platforms around that. So again, if you can see the duality of this, it's helping what Tim just talked about in the Helmets Off strategy, which reaches a business objective for them. but it's also reaching an objective, a business objective for us. And hopefully what you're taking away from this example is that as you think about the work that you create in the world with your brands, with marketing, there doesn't have to be an either or scenario. Like you can win. You can win in all ways, and we can all win in all ways. The key is we have to be able to think intentionally and thoughtfully together and come to the table to say, what ways, what do you need to win? I used to have a mentor used to say, want it, got it, need it, and don't have, right? So you guys remember that, right? What do you want? What do you need? What do you got, meaning the assets? And what can't you do, right? And that's sort of where we put our framework and we say, okay, how do we build around that? And I think we've been able to build some really successful partnerships around that. And one of the flagships of partnerships that we've been able to model has been with the NFL. And you see this not only ingrained into what we do year round, but even activation periods like the Super Bowl and other things that we do because of leadership and because of people like Tim who are great champions and advocates.
I just want to throw in too is like, working with a partner like Big Brothers Big Sisters, it's so important to use your best talent and like truly be creative, because I think a lot of brands just want to sort of slap a logo next to their company and say, okay, we're in support of this group, or we have an affiliation with this group. But to really get down and like understand what are the problems we're trying to solve here? Like what do we need? And then how do we use the platform that we have in a creative way in order to do things that will really stand out, that will get people to think differently and remember, right? And actually take action. And then the other thing I would say is that, while people want to say, well, companies should do more, corporations should do more to help people, individuals have to do more as well. We talked about that at the break. Like a person, even if it's within a company, a person can make a huge difference if they just commit and stand out and decide to sort of, be that, to be that element of change, that active agent of change. And I think that too often today, people kind of retreat back into like, well, the companies are supporting this or whatever, but what can I do? Like, I'm a part of this group. What can I do to actually make a difference, to like come up with ideas that actually will, create an element of recognition and change that you couldn't have done had you not made that individual effort?
I couldn't agree more. I know we talked a lot about that prior. So listening to the both of you and listening to Shane's story, I think, the superpower of all of this has been that both of your teams have been able to story tell, right? You've been able to use this tool and create your messaging in a way that really pulls in and connects with the consumer. So I hope you guys agree, and I would want to really know, how do you continue to build off of this? And we are in a room full of marketers, so have there been platforms that facilitate this? And are you looking to, down the line, maybe test with new partners, explore, like, how do you continue this storytelling?
Yeah, I'm going to give a boring answer to that, and then Tim, you give a more excited one, and Shane, you can chime in. And it may not feel, actually, it may not feel so boring to you guys, because you guys will get what I mean. I was a chief marketing officer before I became CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters. But what I've always believed in, a lot of people, of course, and particularly in the nonprofit field, a lot when you talk about like marketing, people just equate and say, "Oh man, that nice billboard, or the nice commercial, or the PSA." And in my mind, insights, data, right? What helps me to drive towards decisions? How do I know my audience, right? How do I connect with them in meaningful and thoughtful ways? And how do I be able to process that data to have the right thoughtful insights that lead me to the best solutions, right? That's how my mind calculates. So then, what I think about in this relationship has opened us to so much incredible platforms. It's the NFL, absolutely. One of the most powerful ones that we're tapping into right now that Tim has helped open the door is the partnerships around data and insight. So what we're trying to drive is, how do we use things like AI and automation thoughtfully, intentionally, data thoughtfully and intentionally to be able to drive success? Because here's what I know. Those 30,000 kids that I'm trying to make sure we have volunteers for, part of the reason that we are trying to create solutions, it's not simply just because we're trying to get volunteers in the door. Sometimes we get them in the door, but our conversion rate, right? So our conversion rate for every 10 volunteers we get into the door, people that raise their hand, we're converting 2 of them. Think about that, 2 out of 10. What if I just can double that from 4 out of 10? Doesn't even have to be 10 out of 10. Not everybody's qualified to be a volunteer, right? But what if I could double that from 2 to 4? Think about the impact that that would make. So what Tim is helping us to think through and bringing in partners like Adobe, which we just engaged, other ways is how do we think about a volunteer accelerator that helps us to use automation, not replacing the individualized person in our process. That's going to always be. But what if we can create a system where it becomes some of the rote stuff that our staff is doing, we're eliminating that in the process. So we've gone through a year's pilot where now what we're doing is taking off 2 to 3 hours of our staff time. So now their time can be directed more to the human experience and programmatically in the work that they should be doing. We're seeing that our volunteers are coming in much more seamlessly, so the customer service is better, so they don't leave the funnel when we're trying to convert them through. Again, I know some of this may sound boring to folks, but
I was just going to say that was the boring response.
But me, I'm like, it's exciting because it's not a part where you may think that the NFL is working with a cause like ours. You may think about the commercials. You may think about the Super Bowl. But one of the most powerful ways, the guts and the business operations about how do we think about really delivering the impact of our mission. That's what true partnership looks like, and that's how we deliver.
I mean, that is just so important. One of the things, I'm sure you guys probably agree with this, but for whatever reasons in our industry, we still keep, particularly with our CMOs, we still keep sort of offering up this choice of like, are you a brand guy or are you a data guy, or brand officer or data officer? And it's just like, it's just so dumb, right? Because like anything that you can do to like get intimacy at scale, get relevancy at scale, then you should do. And that includes using all of your tools, using all of your resources in order to make that connection with people, to make that difference through the way that you communicate with them. So we have some of the best one-to-one data-driven marketers in the country who work for us. And like one of the things when I was just listening to Artis and his team, who are fantastic, but then also listening to all the different agencies. Have 200, how many?
230.
230 agencies throughout the country who are working their tails off to like make a difference in their communities. And I'm listening to their problems and so forth. I'm thinking, well, shit, they could really use some support when it comes to the right tools and the right ways to connect with people and stay, because they just can't physically do it all on their own. So how can we help them connect in a more efficient, effective way, again, through the right messaging at the right time? It's basic marketing. But like, and then also, how do you connect with people on an emotional level, right? How do you create that level of intimacy and just emotion that will touch people's hearts and get them to think differently and to pay attention? So it really is not, so storytelling becomes so important, right, in the way that you do these things. And so I really do believe that like there's not this choice that we all need to make. It's about how you employ a very strong 360 program in order to have that level of effectiveness.
So we're almost out of time, but I have one question, and then we have an announcement. And I have to ask, we talked about this a little bit, but I myself, I work for Adsmovil. We're a Latino-owned, Latino super-serving media company. And of course, we've been shocked by diversity rollbacks, DEI rollbacks in the last few weeks. And a lot of what you've talked today is about connecting with the communities that need it the most. So how do you stay steady in this climate, or intentional in this climate?
Let me go first. No, listen. Let me just. I mean, this subject, of course, is discussed in many forums right now, and it's a very important subject. So I think we should all be talking about it. I this may sound a little cheesy, but I think that I don't know. I just think that humanity has never been so important, right? So for companies to think about. So I think that we all need to support each other and to not retreat from the values that we have as a company. Because I have certainly learned in my career that the companies who sort of like decide to move based on what's going on that day or that week or that year are the ones who really like do not take full advantage and build their brands and build their businesses over time. And so if you have core values that you believe in, if you believe in diversity, if you believe in equality, if you believe in inclusion, then why the hell would you want to retreat, right? Why would you want to do that? Like, yes, you may think that you're hiding or escaping for the time, and I understand that there are a lot of complexities around this subject, so I don't take that lightly. And you have to be smart with your choices. You have to be smart in the way that you employ these things. But at the end of the day, if we don't continue to be consistent and stand according to our values, then ultimately, you know, who are you? Who are we, right? Your fan base, your audiences, they see it, they feel it if you're not consistent. So my strong view on this thing is that it's a little disheartening to see some of the actions that have been taken out there. And I truly believe that, you know, obviously being smart about it, but like just really being consistent and sticking to what you believe in and not withdrawing from your core programs has never been so important.
Oh, absolutely. I think, I'm sorry, what was the question again? I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. We're talking about the importance of maintaining the commitment to the communities.
Absolutely. I think it's very important because whether you're in nonprofit or for profit, you get your whole base is the community. Whether you're trying to make money, who's going to give you your money? Who's going to give you your sales? Who's going to be giving you your data? It's the community. If you're not for profit, like Big Brothers Big Sisters, who are you going to get your volunteers from? Where are you getting board members? Where are you going to get donors from? It's still the community. And that's why the community is so important. And the best way to stay connected with the community, in my opinion, is simply just communication. You have to communicate with them. You have to figure out what's going on in the community. How do we help? What solutions do we provide? And it's just as simple as having a conversation or just asking. And as someone who, I mean, I'd say I'm part of the community, and that's what, I mean, you know, you're hearing it straight from me. You got to communicate. You got to ask. You just have to maintain that connection.
I love this kid. Let me tell you, he is awesome. And I'll be very brief here, just to say that we're celebrating 120 years this year.
Since 1904.
Right now. Since 1904, 120 years. I will say this, 120 years ago, we were founded as an alternative to the juvenile justice system. A lot of people don't know that. An alternative innovation to the juvenile justice system right here in New York. And the reason why I share that with you all, and it gets back to your question, is because the whole point of why we were founded was the idea was that there was a better way. There was a better idea to be able to bring people together around supporting folks who needed us the most at the time. And we were born out of this idea that brought people from all backgrounds, all experiences. If you look at our history, pretty much every religion, every race, every background, you name it, helped to build Big Brothers Big Sisters over 120 years, right? Because it was this idea that everyone said we all belong under this tent about lifting young people up and giving them voice and giving them empowerment, not saving them. They don't need saving. They can save themselves. What they need are friends, partners, platforms that allow them to lead and take them to places where they want to go. And the reason why I share that is to say this, is that when you look at our Big Brothers, Big Sisters, the majority of the matches we make, they come from different sides of the town. They come from different economic backgrounds, the majority. The majority come from different races and different cultural backgrounds, right? The reason why I say this is because our mission is one where people would have never met each other. They're strangers who would have never met each other if it wasn't for this mission. So when we talk about the idea about why we're needed so much, why we're all needed so much right now, no matter what's going on in our country, no matter where you sit on the political spectrum, we can all find things that we can agree around, that we can align around, that we can put purpose and help this country advance. And this is part of what we can all align around and agree to help this country advance, right? And that's what we believe in, and we believe in our values and our commitment and our dedication to that purpose and to that mission, no matter who's in the White House, who's in Congress, no matter what happens in society, that's what we believe in, that's what we're gonna be committed to.
Absolutely beautiful.